Oh, and we saw Infamous play it yesterday 2 times when Lumiere was able to pick it up. But yeah, it feels a little bit strange. We saw teams also pick it up to preempt the Kunkka pick that some teams were going for, and I think Kunkka is a hero that's definitely not been looked at so far, but that's the other issue. You pick Monkey whenever Bat's still available. Every single time we saw the Monkey usually picked up in the first phase, the Bat ban was almost premeditated, so this is kind of rough now for the Monkey, especially if it's not going to be forced into that core position, because it's most likely it's going to be Yodomi Gyro and then Monkey King in Yuma's hands, something like that. But now you're playing versus Bat, so it's definitely a little bit scarier to be out on the map.
The cool thing is there is actually still a ton of flexibility for Hustlers, which is one of the strengths of their draft and what you really want to do when you're kind of in this picking situation where you're opening yourself up to get countered because the other team has the last pick. They can still put Monkey King as like a 4 and move Lion to 5 and Gyro carry. Like they can move a lot of stuff all over the place, and that's keeping Zoomers from being able to like know that they've just locked in the win basically, because the lanes are going to really matter in these 2 drafts right now.
Yeah. Maybe the last couple of times D2 Hustlers have picked up the Monkey King, Yuma did end up running it, but yeah, as you said, there's the flexibility. The Gyro can just easily slot into that carry role, and your Monkey run him as a support. If the Bat Rider shuts him down, fine, right? You're just kind of okay with that.
Still contributes by scouting and just very strong. If you catch like a Witch Doctor or an IO like on their own, it's actually a very good support game for that because you can just solo kill them pretty easily. Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I do know that I have it on good authority that Yuma does like both Monkey King and Gyrocopter, so I think that he'll be comfortable playing any hero. He's one of the most like flexible carry players I personally have ever played with. So like, when I played with him, I just be like, hey, I think this hero's good. He's like, I've played it twice, but I'll make it work, which is what you need. Like that's one of the most important characteristics of a really good. Obviously, every player, but carry players especially, like they need to be able to play pretty much any hero when it's the good time to play it.
Yeah, if the team calls on you, you gotta try and step up, and it's Gyro or Monkey. It's not like it's a hero that's out of nowhere that no one knows how to play. Yeah.
Although he loves Meepo too. So
yeah, you never know. You never know with you.
He loves them all.
Loving Meepo. I can't get behind that one.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, that's interesting. Is that a Gyro mid then?
Yeah, it has to be, right? You're not gonna put Monkey versus the Bat Rider mid. I feel like that'd be awful. But then I also feel like
Slark
did
mid.
they just pick Slark mid versus Force Zoomers? Yeah, wait. That's crazy.
There's just a ton of flexibility here, which is great because you also just have Moo option, like the option of moving around. So it really is going to come down to the laning matchups, which might mean this game could be decided early. Sometimes when you have games like this, where if you get really outlaned, you just get destroyed. But I think that if Hustlers can just like looking at the heroes as they are right now, if they can get through the laning stage, intact and still pretty strong, like their heroes scale very well and they have a lot of like stuns and stuff. So Zoomers need a really big carry here that like puts the pressure on Hustlers to like gank Zoomers and prevent them from getting to that tipping point. But yeah, we'll see if they can do that because there are like, if their lanes go bad, they won't be able to do that, and then they'll just kind of get outscaled.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Envy's hero. Do you go for like Ursa and you just play well versus Tide? You play well versus Monkey in the past, and then you have that roach taking capability, but then you have no tower push at all whenever it's time to like get those structures. Or do you go for like, I don't think you can pick Medusa.
This is Envy. We don't try to enter the mind of Envy.
Yeah, I know.
Do everything he wants, man.
Like you could think for like 10 minutes and he'll just bust something out left field, or he'll just go something safe. Weaver, it's pretty solid. It's really hard for him to get ganked. I do think that does make it so that Hustlers have a pretty solid late game though, right? Like if they don't really feel super pressured to go fight against a Bat and a Weaver. So as long as they don't give up the lane super hard, I think the Hustlers are actually in a pretty good position in this game if they just scale well on, they have Yuma on Monkey King, and they're going to put Mr. Jeans on Slark, and pretty much, what we expected to have happen. But we'll see if they try to do some lane shenanigans, because that's going to matter a lot. Like if Bat ends up against Monkey King, it's not looking great for Hustlers.
Yeah, their team fights so much better too. Everything on the D2 Hustlers in that regard is just it's exactly what they needed to do versus first phase IO. They get the Ravage, they get the Monkey Ring down. Every single time a relocate happens, they got to be so careful on 4Zoomer side. Otherwise, they're just gonna get torn apart because they only have what they've got Lasso and then they've got a relocated an Ogre. They're so single target right now. It definitely feels like D2 Hustlers could totally game them. You know.
Slark was actually a great pick, not even just for the bat, but all the other heroes, right? I mean, he's like the counter to what they have, that single target, try to lock people down. And I think if Mr. Jeans has a good game, you can like solo this game. He'll just be that. It's like, that Slark game. You don't see it a lot in competitive play, but it can happen. Like if you run away with a game as a Slark, and especially a solo Slark, yeah, I mean, you can take over the game and win pretty fast.
Yeah, and 4Zoomers, I mean, they don't really have a super durable front line, right? Those heroes like the IO and the Witch Doctor, even the Weaver, if he gets caught by some of this lockdown, you get burned through pretty quickly. So it feels like if D2 Hustlers are just able to hit them up, not even for an extended amount of time, really just with 1 or 2 of those quick strikes, these heroes can get knocked down so fast.
Yeah, it's weird. It's Weaver into Lion too. Like that's why I wasn't even thinking for the bug for an instance, because especially pre BKB, you are so vulnerable. Like, and we see as every single time as well, when the Monkey King gets picked up as late into the phases as it did, you're always versus heroes that you just pop with Boundless Strike if you get enough farm. And Yuma's gonna get farm this game. Like, he's gonna be a scary threat. So I don't know. It's an interesting route to go for, but like you said, it's envy things.
The problem with that, it's envy things, that is an explanation. That does not mean that it's going to work by any means, but if you're 4Zoomers, you're kind of used to this by now, right? Taking those risks with envy. You either look like a genius or you look a little silly at the end of the day, but we'll see if this works out. We'll see what we get from this sort of new offlane position, to be perfectly honest. I don't really know at this point in the current meta what a core Ogre really builds compared to the support version of this. Is there anything really in particular?
Okay, they're doing the thing. Pandaego, how do they do this? You don't mean they do this every single time there's a pause. Is there a macro? Do they got razor mice?
Are they just that fast?
Yuma has some secret strategy that he explained to me, but I didn't really pay attention to. He does it complete. He does it with the mouse wheel or the chat wheel, and you like open the chat wheel and wiggle it or something. So I just spoiled his secret maybe, but I'll let people try to figure that one out for themselves.
I mean, I just want to hit X on my game. I want to go try it out in the demo, but then I can't watch, I guess.
We lost him. He's gone. But there we go. Got everybody back in, and we are good to go, and we may have unlocked the secret of how Yuma spams out the minimap. But for now, both sides setting up. Don't really know really if we're going to see any aggression here at this point. This is something that we've seen from a lot of these NA teams. They show up, they look for the runes, but not always willing to go all the way in, although Monster pretty far forward there, checking for the ward.
He's pinging the wrong side, though.
Yeah.
Sentry would still hit, but I think that's where 4Zoomers are just going to sit here. If they go up there, then they are going to die pretty quick. It's sad, too. D2 Hustlers definitely want to go for some crazy play. They've got Night Vision from Slark, and, of course, Tide. Like, Gush is just such a good spell, but no play, unfortunately. Not enough time.
The Weaver really protects that, right? I think a lot of times, like, people would kind of take a more roundabout route because they expect that mid lane to be warded. But they just know that if they run into some random dude walking through the jungle, it's probably a Weaver, and they're not going to get that kill. So I think that's definitely, why they ended up mid.
Emmy's also not doing the crazy stuff. So many Weavers try to go for the rune, and they try to steal it, and then they realize it's a 12-second cooldown on Shikuchi, and then they just get ran down all the way to the lane.
Yeah, you definitely can't be using it to, like, go in, to pick up the rune. You just kind of walk in and pick up the rune, and then if you get in trouble, you just use Shikuchi and run, and you probably are okay then, unless you really run into trouble.
Alright, Mu and Z they push up to the top lane and they just snipe out the ranged creep before really they can even meet up, so nifty play. Take out the ranged and try and set themselves up. In this lane, this is going to be kind of annoying for D2 Hustlers. Yudomi can do his best with the harassment here, but the Ogre's already one of the highest regen heroes early, and he's got an IO to back him up, so not really sure how much damage Yuma and Yudomi are actually going to be able to make stick here, and in fact, Yuma's actually getting beat up a little. Well, he'll be fine. Came to lane with the regen ready, and once he gets points up in the Boundless and the Jingu, then you always have that play to sort of heal yourself back up. But this feels like Mu and Zfreak are really just going to try to play forward in this lane as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, the only awkward thing is you do have this Ogre IO combo early on that is able to harass a lot with the Ignite, but Ogre doesn't actually farm creeps very quickly. So when you get down to it, you're delaying both of these heroes' level 6 timing pretty heavily, and you're not really able to accelerate that fast. I think that's something that Four Zoomers weren't able really to get in their draft, is that really easy tether target where you're able to play for both of those heroes, you know?
Yeah, there's not definitely going to be... He'll probably... I think Bat is honestly the best option a lot of the time, especially in this kind of draft because of the mobility of Weaver and just like how strong Ogre is by itself. You know, having Bat being able to like relocate on any fight is like probably the most abusable part of this like lineup. So I think they will try to do that some. And Ogre will probably honestly just get like a Midas and just hang out under some tower and like be that bait that just kind of soaks farm around the map. We'll see how greedy they go for the farm. I do think that Ogre probably does need to scale pretty hard though if they're going to win this anything past like 30-35 minutes because they're just not going to be able to win the later fights without like BKBs on every hero.
And they need that durability, and I mean, they might need Mu to actually contribute just straight up damage-wise as well, depending on what the Bat and the Weaver can get for themselves. So we'll keep an eye on Mu for now, but this lane seems about as stable as it can get at the moment. Meanwhile, over in the middle lane, Mr. Jeans, very interested here to see how aggressively he tries to play. You've always got that Dark Pact to try and maybe bait Gunnar in if he thinks he's got the napalm stacks, and then you can sort of spring that trap on him, but it feels like Gunnar would still need to be out of position in the first place for Mr. Jeans to have a shot at it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that especially just going bottle, rushing it, is like he just wants to farm, wants to get his 6, and then just kind of play around the map. I don't think he's going to be going too crazy for the kills, but I'm sure, you know, if the opportunity presents itself, he'll try and take it.
Yeah, his rotations are like, I think best case scenario, he gets a haste rune, and then he's suddenly able to pop up in the side lanes to get a cheeky kill on the Wisp for the Witch Doctor. Aside from that, though, his targets are actually really small, and actually bottom, or top. Yeah, both lanes, kills everywhere.
Yunomi gets the first blood, but yeah, Husky was able to return fire onto monsters, so... Well, Core for support would sort of initially go for Zoomer's way, but with the first blood bonus, I think that's going to be... It's that little bit more... I got my teams mixed up, but you know what I mean. First blood bonus is going to tip it a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to also look at kind of like what hero gets it and what's going to accelerate, right? I think Gyro got the first blood, so it's like what's he getting out of that? And pretty good items. He's getting a Ring of Asi and then also bringing Raindrops, so that's going to make this lane really, really strong for D2 Hustlers up top.
Yeah, it's in the same vein where you get first blood on like Bane or Venge, where suddenly your hero just feels so strong, and even Zfreak, they know he TP'd mid to refill up Gunner's bottle, so it's just free damage.
They do get the damage down, but over in the bottom lane, Divine Llama, well, not able to outrun Envy. 2 points up in the Shikuchi allows him to close the gap, and, well, this bottom lane, not in danger. That's probably a little bit panicky, but they've given up 2 kills so far, and, well, the first one was to Husky, but you don't really need to give Envy any help farming in this situation.
Yeah, it's smart, honestly, from for Zoomers. It's something that we see a lot of times when the Forcada was getting picked up in some of the older patches, when Weaver wasn't as good as he was, but it's so easy for them to make that play, and you also have Maledict versus the Tide, and this is a really obnoxious spell for Monster to deal with, especially since he doesn't have the cloak.
Drop the Swarm on him as well, and Monster, yeah, he's just got to go all the way back. They can't kill him, but he doesn't really have any regen outside of the ring that he picked up, so... There we go. He's gonna get the Tango.
He's got a Tango. Yeah, he'll be okay. I think the thing is, like, Maledict's the only really scary part, but yeah, he's been pretty much bullied out of this lane at this point, and it's not much the Hustlers can do down here, besides just try and get experience.
Meanwhile, up top, Mu is in a dangerous spot. Mr. Jeans rotates up. Doesn't hit with the pounce, though, but if Yunomi... No, can't get the body block, so Mu is able to walk away, and Mr. Jeans' first rotation out of that middle lane is... not really going to get him what he wants. He's not going to miss out on too much, all things considered, but that does give Gunnar a little bit of extra time here as you see him pulling the wave over to the side camp.
Trying to collapse on mid though. Devi is coming in, checking the rune. It's pretty big to block that.
Nice.
Because having that on Slark gives him just another cleanse. He's definitely just unkillable right now. I do think that the Slark probably should just focus on clearing out jungle camps to try to keep like level and farm pace with Bat, because like we were talking about at the beginning of the game, like kind of he can run away with this game by himself if he gets the right kind of items. So those ganks, well, they're great. Like if they work, if they don't, they set you back too far, and it's not really worth it because you're ganking an ogre.
Yeah.
Like it's whatever, right?
Yeah, it's like if
It
you
was
don't
also
get it,
like-
it's bad. If you do get it, it's still not that great.
Yeah, they only make that play too, I think, because of how far the wave up. I feel like that's a call you make maybe like a minute in advance, just knowing how the wave is gonna go, but it still kind of sucks. And without power runes, you really can't do anything aside from farm. Like your hero really needs a lot of levels before you actually have enough damage and control to finish off anyone. Doesn't even have an Orb of Venom either, so it's really easy for a lot of the 4-zoomer heroes to just kind of walk away and ignore him if they get healed up too much.
Yeah, so we'll see if he starts. It looks like he is already kind of focusing on farming. He's going Falcon Blade next. Just finished his shreds, but Slark does hit kind of a oh yeah.
They got him this time. All right. So Devi comes in instead of Mr. Jeans, and you guys were saying you kind of need a little bit more in the way of lockdown. The Lion provides it, and Moo does get picked off there. So
Bottom.
oh, yeah, bottom monster. Whoa. Yeah, he's gonna be okay, but yeah, that's what happens. Devi rotates out of lane, and the second Envy and Husky see that, they try for the play, but that's still a Tide Hunter. He is going to be pretty tanky. 3 points in the Kraken Shell to absorb a lot of that damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this. They just decide to sack Monster, and they're actually able
He's
to
still
get
doing
rotation.
okay too, because I mean he's
Yeah.
getting all this experience in their tower. As long as he doesn't die here, this is actually really good for Hustlers. What's happening right now? How much they're locking down the rest of the map by moving everyone up there, and they just told Monster, like you said, you're kind of getting sacked, but get what you can, and he's getting experience and killing range creeps. So that's huge. And his build is actually what's doing that. That hood is great, but because Ogre can't do this, like he's not gonna have, he can't deal with these 3 heroes running at him over and over again.
He's just going to get jumped in on. Yeah, that tri-lane goes to work again, and I mean, Z-Freak, God bless him, he's doing everything he can, but this is an IO at 8 minutes. He can't exactly save his buddy, but now
There's a travel.
that's a very aggressive TP from Gunnar. He immediately gets stunned, though, by Devi. They could still catch up to Yodomi at least, but now Mr. Jeans is coming in as well. This is turning into an absolute party. They get the Hex down onto the Bat. Boundless Strike connects onto 2. And all of a sudden, if you're 4-zoomers, you got to get the hell out of here. They're trying to back out with whatever they have left, but Husky will be picked off, and Gunnar, by this point, that homing missile really shouldn't lead to too much, but 4-zoomers, I think they were just trying maybe to do a little bit too much there. Gunnar, that TP is just the most blatant in-your-face play we have seen so far in this game, and Hustlers were ready for it.
Yeah, and that just opened up Tide to kind of get a free lane again. So Tide's getting recovery off of that. Your Weaver is getting a lot of space and farm, but kind of as we discussed, like Weaver's probably not going to carry this game alone. So they're starting to get run over by the Hustlers, and the Zoomers really need to kind of like group up and at least get like some heroes put together. But even Wisp is kind of falling behind in terms of levels, and they managed to bail him out. But oh, he's going Meteor Hammer on Ogre. Can you multicast that?
You can't multicast it. That's like the Moose special though, especially when he gets put on the offlaners that don't really farm traditionally well. He just gets this instead of like items like you said, like the Midas.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you're Ogre. I think the Midas might feel just that little bit better because of that. It's kind of sole fact, but the buildup is definitely nicer than Midas in a lot of different ways.
They're making a go onto Monster, but he's going to go for the TP home, back to the fountain. Maledict should not
One
be
stun.
enough. Yeah, he's fine.
The hood is definitely, that item is, he got it just in time, because if he didn't get that around the time he did, he would have gotten bullied out of this lane completely.
Yeah, the hood is just allowing him to do so much there, and yeah, that was the problem, ET. You were saying they've got a stun with that trio. The cast goes out, and the second it hits, there's nothing to bounce to, so Monster says, cool, I'm out. I'm just going to TP home, and yeah, sure, that knocks him out of lane for 30 seconds, but this is what the lane is for Monster. You see, he's going to come back, he gushes a range creep, because why the hell not? He is here to grab some experience and get whatever farm he can and let his teammates run wild elsewhere on the map, which they will be doing right on cue.
Gunnar.
Directly into Gunnar. Boundless Strike is there. They're going to get down the follow-up stun from Devi. The homing missile now comes through as well, and Gunnar, take your hands off the keyboard, man. You just don't get to play.
That was a big kill, because now they can kind of clean up top, and Monster's still just hanging out down here, drawing so much attention and getting like the perfect amount of farm, avoiding like, you know, the ganks when they come. Although as I say that, here comes another one. He does not have a TP this time though. I don't think they realize that, so they actually don't commit. Because I think they kill him there if they commit not knowing that he doesn't have a TP.
Yeah,
Unfortunate.
I don't know. It is unfortunate because it feels like as long as this laning stage keeps going, again, D2 Hustlers get to get the levels in the farm that they need, while it feels like everyone on 4 Zoomers are definitely playing a little bit behind that 8 ball, and that's where a lineup with Io feels even worse, because look, Z-Freak's not level 6, 12 minutes into this game, and he's got Tome finally, so he will have that relocate available to him, but that's where lacking a hero like the Sven or the Medusa, you're really not going to see this IO able to get those levels easily. And same with Mu. He's been the sole recipient of all this XP in the mid lane, and Gunnar got his TP canceled, so this fight mid is going to go really badly for 4 Zoomers. Oh no.
Mr. Gene's jumping in. They're looking for move first to get the stun onto Z-Freak. He does have level 6 now, but he doesn't have the mana for the relocate, and it's not going to do him any good. Stun comes in. Divide commits that first finger of death, and Yodomi did die, so technically speaking, Mu will come away with something, but that is not the trade they were hoping for, especially if Hustlers... I was going to say if they could keep the push onto this tier 1, but their creep wave's a little ways behind, so it's going to take them a little while, but never mind. Yuma's going to make that faster with the Primal Spring, so they just clear through it, and they should have this tower.
It's so sick from Yuma, too. Cancels the Bat's TP top, immediately TPs on mid, and then joins the fight. It's like the same pace that we saw Monkeys playing yesterday. It's so sick to see the safe laner just always getting these early engagements.
Yeah, I mean, it was really what they needed to do right there and kind of continue to use their snowball momentum, although Yuma's getting a little... Oh, wow.
That sucks. Husky, I mean, that's the play you want to try to make, but now he's going to get punished for it, as Z-Freak doesn't even try, just flies right past him to get to Envy, but Gunner's now coming in as well. They have the lasso. They just need the right target. They need to wait for Mr. Jeans to run out of time on the ult, but they're not able to catch up. Monster comes in with the slow from the Gush. You see Yuma, he's faking out that Wukong because he wants to bait them in so damn bad. And, well...
Not quite.
Yeah.
But they disengage without losing anyone, and honestly, that's probably just as good. So I think that, you know, getting out of that fight without having Ravage, without having Finger, forcing everyone down there, and now they're going to just fan out across the map and, like, farm faster than the Zoomers can and take over more of the map control. I guess actually maybe not. They're also kind of just lurking bottom because they know that Zoomers are moving out across the map to farm.
Z-Freak's getting hit up here. That call down is a little off the mark, but I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, call down doesn't need to be there. Yodomi comes in with the Rocket Barrage, and Yuma did a bit of the heavy lifting with the Boundless, but they still find the kill, and now Envy, you can't afford to be here anymore. You see him just backing off already. He is just not in a position to fight right now.
Well, look at what Ogre is building, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's going into the Midas. Just a little... I do think that the Meteor Hammer has not accomplished a ton this game, and it probably would have been better to just go straight Midas, but I think that getting it is still the right choice because, you know, this game's already getting dragged out, and, you know, like I was talking about at the beginning and during the draft, Slark and Monkey King are just going to dominate the map and, you know, push Zoomers together and outfarm them, so they need to have some, like, really strong scaling heroes, and Midas, if you know you're going to get pushed together and be afraid to farm, then you need to get items that help you farm, you know, flash farm like that, so Midas is obviously the best one.
I'm surprised that when you have this Meteor Hammer, it just means your offlaner can easily take that tower, and you really haven't seen Mu play top at all since the laning stage kind of started slowing down. And I think that's the reason you go for that item, is that you can actually try to get those early objectives, but instead it feels like he's a little bit misplaced on the map right now.
And they are trying to make a move onto Yodomi here in the bottom lane, and they should be able to get this one. So there's going to be a pickoff for them, but the relocate initially actually tried to pull Mu and Z-Freak up to the top lane where they were hoping to go for a fight and a tower. So at least they get something out of that play. It's just... it's a little broken up for 4 Zoomers right now. That's kind of been the theme. The things that they have been getting for themselves have come almost, I guess, haphazardly. It's just they're stumbling into some of these plays.
Yeah. I mean, I do think part of this all comes back to, like, the Wisp just doesn't really have a person they want to play with, so I think that they're out of their natural flow when playing with this hero, and Z-Freak's kind of walking around just syncing up with everybody, kind of taking turns, but, like, he's been with Mu a lot, and I think the idea is obviously you want to be able to bring the Ogre into a fight while he's farming, but I do think that just, like, for the pressure that would be applied on the map, having Wisp with Bat would be better, and then just relocating Bat to, like, an Ogre, you know, like, with this Tide right now, if you could relocate a Bat in, he would just die.
Yeah. It's also where they're missing that one hero that just kind of sits in the side lane and then starts things. And okay, Z-Freak's just so dead. Well,
There's nothing he can do here. Tether's still on cooldown. Ravage, meanwhile, deployed onto Moo. Oh, they want to go in for a second attempt, and they should have it. The Hex is down. The Wukongs, well, you know what? Better safe than sorry, right? Maybe you get the kill without it, but why take that chance? They find the second kill, and they should get the tower here as well. Now Devi actually just going to TP up to try and defend the tower, but there's no real push coming here. It was only Husky in the lane, so 4Zoomers losing heroes, and as of right now, not really in a position to make an immediate counterplay either.
yeah, I think Yuma's just giving some credit over to Gunner. The bat was not showing for a really long time there on the map, so just in case the bat had any inclination to get engaged there, just doesn't want to take the risk.
It was definitely worth it too because of the tower, right? I mean, if there's an objective off of a hero kill after it, it's kind of like a hero and a half at least, so definitely worth, I guess more than hero, but tower is probably a little bit more valuable, but, you know, it's just the same kind of thing. You want to really secure those towers.
Now, I don't know, I mean, Pandaego, you've mentioned it like 2 or 3 times now. I am still so surprised that Z-Freak isn't playing with really anyone else. You would think they would want the kill with Gunner. They do find a kill there onto Devi, so that's something, but now they need the lasso play. It's onto Tide, though. This is not an easy kill for them by any means, but...
Well,
okay, well, he walks off that Meteor Hammer, and Z-Freak taking some damage, able to just get himself away with the tether, but Yudomi still hits him up, and now Envy's joined the fight as well. They are really trying to go in onto Monster, and they will get him. Moo gets the stun for the kill, and now Yudomi has nowhere left to go. They'll run him down as well, so... well, the initiation was a little broken up initially, but they find the 3-for-1 trade.
Yeah, that definitely ended up being really good for Zoomers, but if they can defend this tier 1, which looks like they're really trying to, I don't think the Hustlers care too much because they didn't lose either of their cores. You know, Slark and Monkey got away, which is really big with the kind of draft that they have going right now. And I think Monkey King just about finished his Deso. Yeah, he's just about got Deso completed, so once he gets that, he will shred the Zoomers. So once Bat has this Blink and Monkey has Deso, they're just going to be able to win every team fight in like 3 seconds. We'll see. You know, I think that one of the things that is going to kind of salvage that is that BKB that Bat just picked up. You know, Bat can run in, and if Bat can grab a hero and, you know, they can blow up a Slark or pick off the Monkey King, that'll be really good for them.
Speaking of that Slark, haven't really looked too much at Mr. Jeans outside of his participation in the fights. Build-wise, did go for that early Falcon Blade into the Diffusal. He's got the Ags queued up for himself next, so... I mean, that's going to give him the Pounce upgrade for sure, but you are pretty much 100% relying on that sort of ult and Dark Pact to sort of save yourself if you do get into trouble, which, to this point in the game, that hasn't really been a problem, but, well, I don't know. It feels like he's a little more offensively oriented right now.
Yeah, it's good. It just makes it so that the supports on 4Zoomers can't play Dota. They just literally can't do anything if he's on top of them. And you have that get out of jail free card. It's just a really good item for him.
So now we got a race going. It's the Meteor Hammer versus the Deso. I think
the Deso wins this.
Mr. Jeans isn't in there hitting though, but yeah, actually I don't even know if Hustlers need to give up the other tower. They're gonna kill it so much faster. Like Weaver, Ogre, Bloodlust, like there's not a lot of damage coming in. So actually Zoomers decided to defend because of that.
Yeah. Envy has a Lincoln Sphere. I don't know if I like this item buildup, I'll be honest. I feel like a lot of the spells that you're playing against don't really care about that, and I think that BKB time, if he went for something like Maelstrom BKB, I think he'd be a lot more impactful. Moo's getting set up on
no. Just walks.
That was extreme patience.
Yeah.
They were all like in the trees, like thieves in the woods, just waiting for him. And then Monster's like, guys, somebody's got to show in the lane or he's never going to come. And then Monster walks in the tower and Moo's like, okay, it's safe. I think if Yuma just hits the tower there instead of like immediately starts running at him when he starts walking up, then they get that kill a little faster. But they end up taking a tower and not losing their own, so they can start controlling like the Roche side of the map now. And Hustlers are in a really great position, and Slark's gonna keep snowballing that with vision control.
Oh, Gunner's got to pop the BKB. He does still get the lasso onto the Lion though, so that should be the kill for him. And yeah, Mr. Jeans, you don't really want to chase too much further after that. So you find yourself a kill. That's gonna be a nice one. BKB using that 9-second duration, but Gunner's got to get really some sort of momentum going for himself there. So he's able to pick that one up, and 4Zoomers, at this point, it's kind of strange. They're pretty far behind kill-wise, at least for this point in the match, but Gunner's still farming well. Envy's still at the top of the net worth chart, so it's not ideal, but they're making the most out of a weird start so far.
Yeah, I think everything changes once Monster gets this blink. They can actually start to get those big team fights going that they actually want to take. And that bat play mid is kind of neat because Monster kind of TP'd reactively there. So he walked away from the top tower. Then Envy gets to start hitting it a little bit more. They're doing a good job of getting Envy as much farm as possible. I do think the rest of the members on Four Zoomers are definitely suffering a little bit because of that, though.
Gonna be focusing on the damage now. Crit stick into the Daedalus. He's got a BKB queued up after, but...
He's going to have a real tough time once his Lincoln starts getting broken or he gets opened on by a Ravage, though, right? Because, like, Lion has a little bit of a challenge with, you know, breaking Lincolns and getting the Hex, but once he can just, like, take his sweet time with the Mana Burn and then into Hex, like, we were just going to explode in team fights, and there's no real save besides the Wisp. But the Wisp is, like, you really don't want Wisp linking up with Weaver. It just feels very weird.
Now, bit of a smoke play coming out from Hustlers. They need to... Yeah, there we go. Start moving a bit to the north as Yuma's going to be leading the charge here. There's a lot of targets to pick from if they can just get the vision. But, oh, Envy gets away. Z-Freak, oh, thought he was going to be able to slip out in the tree line, but Yuma does get eyes on him. So they need the tether, and they aren't going to be able to get it away. But Devi's there with the blink. The Ravage even being deployed. And they take down Z-Freak right away. Can they catch up to anyone else? Envy's going to try to Shikuchi himself out of here. And between Moo and Husky there for the backup, they should be able to get away. So... well, that is Ravage down, and you really only lose Z-Freak in that play. So all things considered, Four Zoomers kind of get away with one a little bit there. That could have been
They're
much
definitely
worse.
happy with that, yeah. I mean, being able to walk away with one for a Ravage is always good, especially when they don't really have all those BKBs up on their cores. So I think that was they were trying to hope to catch whoever the Wisp was going to there, I think. That's why they actually saw, you know, the Wisp a couple times, and they just didn't jump on it, and then they just got a little too happy with the Ravage, I think.
Ooh, Devi.
Good blink to
He's
start,
so
but
very dead.
yeah, there's no way out here. Pops the Lincolns, just middle finger to Envy as he dies, but not enough to save him. But Devi going down for the vision for 4 heroes, sort of rotating to that lane, and now that opens up maybe an opportunity. As Hustlers are making their way over, Yuma has the ult. He's going to drop it onto Moo right away into the Boundless Strike, and that's a dead Ogre. And now Monster, well, he may not have the Ravage, but he's still just marching his way into the middle of the fight, creating that distraction. Husky, however, is going to go for the ult, but it's not hitting really anything, and now they're just going to get completely run down. Husky will fall. Z-Freak is going to try to relocate, but killed off before he can finish it. At least you got Envy and Gunner out of there, but that is a perfect response from the D2 Hustlers side after losing their Lion.
Yeah, they didn't place any vision on Four Zoomers after they came down here. They didn't deward any of D2 Hustlers, so they just kind of stay where they're playing blind, and they totally get punished for it.
That's where the Slark power comes in right there, baby. I mean, he was able to walk down there without a smoke and just scout the whole time, and they just knew there was no vision, so Monkey King just jumps over and finds a free Ogre. And honestly, Ogre's a lot of Zoomer's damage and impact right now in team fights. So if he dies instantly but for nothing except for like Monkey King ult, and then they still fought, you know, D2 Hustlers were working in and out of the Monkey King ult and just staying around it, and then they just caught Husky and the fight just snowballed from there. So that's a huge fight for Hustlers because now they're all hitting like items like their next tier, which this is when their lineup just starts getting too difficult to deal with. Monkey King, is that BKB complete? Yeah, BKB complete on Monkey King. Glimmer on Gyrocopter. Lion's pretty far from anything, but you know, Tide actually has like real items now, and the biggest one is going to be the Scotty, which Slark is about to finish.
Yeah, he swapped it up, but it is a really good call to make, especially if Mr. Ninja is just one-on-oneing Eternal Enemy. You can't do anything. It feels so bad, especially because then all your damage coming from Geminate attack. You really don't have anything else. I think Udomi's super dead here, though.
This is a 4-man rotation onto a position 5 Gyrocopter, so even if Udomi dies, he is going to be okay with that. Oh, the dream, but it's not enough. But yeah, that's everybody. They all came top for that kill, and now, just like last time with Devi, yeah, D2 Hustlers want in for this engagement, but they don't quite have the same angle that they did down bot, so not going to be able to make that play happen. And that kill did get Envy enough money there for his Daedalus, so you are starting to see more damage coming out from the Weaver, which feels like something Four Zoomers desperately need right now. You talk about how important Moo had been previously. That is not really supposed to be the case. Envy is supposed to be hitting pretty damn hard here, so I mean, he's taking a step in that direction. That's got to be worth something for them.
Yeah, the Daedalus is going to help a lot. I think that's why you typically don't see like the Link or the Falcons and Lincolns, because it's just like not enough damage, and that's the hard part about playing Weaver, right? It's just figuring out that line to walk of like, I want to buy survivability items, I want to buy damage items. That requires like the most Dota knowledge, and if you can figure that out, then the hero can be good. But it's really easy to like just tank a game because you make one wrong item choice on the hero.
Busters are pushing into the Roche pit right now. First Roche of the game, and I mean, they've got the armor reduction here, so they can get through this pretty quickly, and I don't really think Zoomers have any idea this is happening. Even if they did, not sure they could reach it in time now.
I think they think they're being smoked on. Like, they're playing so far behind Weaver, and like they think they're going to get smoked on at this tier 1 push, and they were just hitting Roche the whole time, and I think they just realized it as like I said that basically, and then they started trying to run up there, but it's just too late. So now they're like, okay, they got Aegis now. There's no way we're winning a fight. They've got Ravage, Blink, Monkey King ult, you know, Glimmer's up. It's just too hard to deal with, and they're just going to play away and actually go immediately into the triangle to steal as much of the farm as they can before they know they need to get out.
Oh, if Yuma was able to find Mu there too, that would be a really sad death as well to tank. But they get the map now. They get absolutely everything they want. Mr. Jean's got another illusion rune as well, so again, unkillable Sark. It does feel like Zoomers aren't finding the fights that they want to take. I think the biggest problem right now, and probably the most problematic choice, is without a Blink Dagger on this Batrider, how do Zoomers actually start their fights? It's just Gunnar going to be walking it in at this point, and I think that's something that D2 Hustlers have shown that they're going to be completely ready for. And right now they're like trying to keep the triangle.
Yeah, this is going to be weird.
But
you don't want this guy to walk in. Yeah, this is not worth it for them. This is very weird. So what I thought they were going to do, which I was going to compliment before they didn't do it, was cut the creep waves, because they got pushed out, you know, of their side of the map, and they got pushed all the way back over here, and they tried to wait and hope that somebody would come and farm it, but no one came. So instead they just gave up their mid tower for free while they were kind of huddled together and got absolutely nothing. If they could have just cut the creep waves and then like TP'd out, they could have kind of like reversed the map and then just gone back across and farmed while, you know, D2 Hustlers were walking all the way back across the map.
Yeah, it's strange, and maybe it's because it is the Weaver that is out and in front. I know whenever Zoomers have like the Terrorblade or some illusion carry, it feels like they can do that a lot safer, but it's definitely a strange play to make, because now D2 Hustlers have all the time in the world to get these outer objectives, and sure, it's farm on Envy, but you're still 2,000 away from that BKB. It feels like the time is definitely kind of flying away from them right now.
And I mean, it was a little bit strange. For the most part, they had been sort of keeping close in terms of the overall net worth lead, just by virtue of how much Envy and Gunnar had been farming, but it is starting to slip away a little bit. D2 Hustlers are building that up, and the more control of the map they take, the worse that this is really going to feel for that Zoomer side. I mean, they're still running with this trio. Envy and the two supports are just moving on their opponent's side of the map trying to find farm, but you will never be able to find more than what Hustlers are getting for themselves. They just cleared out both of the towers top, and they're pushing the high ground right now. There needs to be a response for Zoomers.
And they don't have good high ground defense at all, right? Like, their responses are actually horrible. So they're trying to push them back, though, and, you know, they just use the fort to clear this one out. Z-Freak's still kind of like cutting creeps on their side of the map and trying to like make them actually leave.
Well,
but he's gonna die for it.
Yep. Oh, there we go. There's the reinforcements. Well, yeah, I wasn't sure if Devi could do it himself, and Yuma and Mr. Jeans will come in there to clean it up. So Z-Freak taken down. His buyback's available. Don't really think they're going to need it. There's no imminent push looking like it's coming from the D2 Hustler side into the high ground any longer, but again, this is just so much control of the map that D2 Hustlers have at their disposal. Even Yadomi now, look at him. He's starting to farm. This is a position 5 gyrocopter who is gonna start getting some more items.
I mean, he's crazy farm. He's been farm. I mean, Devi has kind of started to take over the map control, which is kind of what you want, though, right? Because he has the blink and is the one that can set up kills. So he's like moving around, warding, trying to control the map, and then Gyro is literally just shoving lanes. Yadomi's just like running down lanes, suiciding. He doesn't even care if he dies, just free farming the whole map. He's like a moving ward that's also just trying to get as much farm as he can, like similar to Enchantress, but I think with much less expectation of actually surviving a gank.
But I think that's because Yuma is also just running around like a madman, trying to capitalize on those on the vision gain from pushing out so consistently. Yeah, well, they laughed at him.
They did. Okay. And that's pretty big. I mean, he does have Octarine Core, so it's kind of just a free kill, but still, like that's his purpose. He did get a little bit too far up there, but yeah, Yuma's just been. He has a DD. They might actually want to force us with Aegis and DD. Okay, they were waiting here to see if the Zoomers would push out, because they would have taken the fight for sure if they would have, but you know, they're not going to dive the base with it. So, okay, keep farming. They're just sitting in their base. We lost the support, and Slark and Monkey are free farming the whole map. This is kind of we talked about earlier, you know. They're hitting this timing where they just can't fight into them. But they are smoking out.
Without
Ravage is
Lasso, though.
Yeah, this is ambitious.
Yeah.
They do sense this is coming. You can tell based on their positioning.
Oh,
Like, they actually
Monster.
know exactly what's
He just
happening.
broke the whole thing. And there's the Ravage coming out. Only hitting onto 2, though, as Gunnar was able to pop that BKB. But again, without the Lasso, they don't quite have the lockdown onto Yuma, although they did cut his tree, and Yuma's actually dropping pretty low, but he's going to be able to be saved initially. And even if he does go down, the Aegis is still there for a few more seconds. But
You gotta die.
yeah,
Okay.
he needed to use it. So he is coming back up. And on the 4 Zoomer side, they did buy back to get Husky back into this fight. And I guess they'll kill... Okay, they'll kill Devi. He got the Finger of Death off first, though. But do they really want to go back in at this point? 10 seconds to Lasso, so maybe they can wait a little while longer. But there's Mr. Jeans pushing in. Moo dropped low. That call down is really preventing him from getting out. Good Force Staff to try and create that separation. But yeah, you can't Force Staff your way out of everything. The Boundless Strike still comes through, and Moo gets cleaned up. He does not have buyback. So at this point for Zoomers, gotta be a little bit careful here. A third round of fighting is just straight up not gonna happen.
Yeah, and that was great discipline by you know, D2 Hustlers just waiting on the cliffs for them to push up. They knew they wanted to chase.
Lasso.
And, oh,
Yeah, got
Got the
Yuma.
Monkey
he
King.
has Satanic and BKB though, so if he gets anything off, oh, he didn't actually get any hits.
Okay, Yuma taken down. That's a big play there for Zoomers. They want more, though. They got Yodomi with the knockback from that Flame Break, and they should be able to finish him off as Envy picks up the double. And that defense, that was probably the best case scenario for them. They survive through that Aegis on the Monkey King. They kill him off again, and the high ground, it took a little bit of damage, but really minor scratches at worst.
Yeah, Yodomi, he didn't hike up his sentries. He was just a little bit too far behind, so after Eternal Envy went invis, there was no target for him to lifesteal off of. I think he also used his Boundless Strike a little bit too early there, so he wasn't able to get that cleave either. So that was a little bit misplayed from them. That was a big punish.
I think he was just relying on that Satanic, and yeah, he just got like kited by everybody. I get perfectly. He was in mid animation. It was really close. It wasn't like, you know, his attack was like maybe quarter of a second from connecting, and he would have healed up and probably lived. But yeah, still definitely not a great situation for the Hustlers.
Now for Zoomers, a little bit of life, right? So maybe renewed fervor on their part. You see Envy, he's building his way towards a butterfly, so I'm not really sure if that is the game-changing moment, but it's got them really moving in the right direction. And if you're D2 Hustlers, well, they're going to try for some decisive action here. They smoke up, they've got the Ravage back up, so if you can take a fight here and reestablish control, then, yeah, you're going to be well on your way to getting back on top as Monster hits them all with the Ravage. They get the follow-up stun from Tavai. And Gunnar and Z-Freak are already dead. Husky is going to be able to TP away, so at least he lives, which is maybe slightly more important considering he already used his buyback previously, but yeah, that's the problem. Four Zoomers took a nice fight, but they go too far out there, they get punished heavily, and they're kind of right back where they started.
Yeah, the Fishmen. Fishmen.
That was
so
a Monster
good.
Ravage. That can be his moniker, I suppose. But no, the Wisp relocate got canceled there, which was fantastic. And I think that the play really was for Zoomers just to abandon Husky. I think going back, he even tried to relocate out the Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Which was like, when I started seeing that, I was like, my brain was like, what is happening? Are they coming in? Like, no. Okay, this looks bad. But Monster still interrupted it, caught everyone with it, cleaned everyone up. Husky actually, funny enough, got away. But still, they can't really, manage the defense here. And I think that now they're just going to focus tower really hard. Force the forward. They might back here just because they want to get the lanes equalized, and they're just happy with keeping them in their pace.
30 seconds on a Roche too. They don't want to give up any kills.
Yeah, they're just going to get the lanes pushed out for Roche and get ready for that, which was the right call for sure.
Yeah, don't get too greedy. We saw what happened last time. They tried to force that high ground push, and Four Zoomers were able to sort of hold them at bay. So, yeah. Don't get too greedy. Wait it out. Roche is coming back up. Maybe a play onto Envy, as Yuma did jump in, but didn't have the detection there to really make that happen. That would have been backbreaking if they'd have lost Envy in that situation. But this is still incredibly strong for D2 Hustlers. Yodomi, no, Yodomi, go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Okay. Unfortunate. He misses it by like a half a second on the respawn, but they should probably suspect that it's up anyway. So
And this is going to be really difficult for the Zoomers to fight into right now anyways because of Slark, right? This is like prime time for D2 Hustlers. This is probably one of their biggest power spikes is this 35 to 40 minutes when they have Knight, and they can use it to secure this Roche, and then they should just win the game with that. Because Slark is just so powerful right now on the map, which is why they're just like, get in there, Mr. Jeans, and just runs in. Usually you got to tell your carry this like 4 or 5 times before they'll do it, but I bet he did it on the first time.
Yeah. He's been, I mean, he's been feeling himself. And that's the thing. Force Zoomers, they need to kill him. If he dies once, then this game can definitely start to flip. But until they actually get that first death going for him, it's just the perfect start game. He's almost 25 as well, and that's where the game completely shifts for him, where you have to be so careful with how you engage, because suddenly Mr. Jeans is 40 stacks of Agi, and you can't take those extended fights where he's just taking everything from you.
By this point, yeah, they do now know that Roche is back with Mr. Jeans. Well,
no buy, at least. He bought out for this Abyssal, but he's just getting ready for the Roche fight.
Oh, he got the shard too on the Slark. That's always an interesting one. Don't really see that. Well, don't really see that too often, mostly because we don't see Slark all that often, but interested to see how Mr. Jeans makes use of that, especially considering he's just been, as you said before, just straight up jumping into these fights. So he's going to be right in the thick of it with that to work with, and now this is a long wrap, but it could do exactly what they want. They need to get Gunner first. There's the Ravage, but the BKB comes out, so Gunner's safe, drops the lasso onto the gyro. That's an interesting target, but we'll see how it works out. Not a lot of damage being done. Envy, though, does manage to get it onto Devi, so they'll take him down, but they've lost both of their supports in exchange. And Devi actually just bought back, so he's going to be rejoining this engagement. Mu, meanwhile, is completely isolated in the river. And now, if you're 4Zoomers, I don't really know what more you can do here. Gunner is still kind of hanging around, but Mr. Jeans wants back in onto him. Pounce will connect, and now the bash has come into play. Gunner has to desperately try to get out, but he has no mana, he has no health, and he's got no backup.
Wow. Really big shout out to Slark on that one for really initiating the fight properly. Like, he ran into the shop when he bought his Abyssal, but they knew there was a ward there, so that's why they went for that full wraparound, right? Because they knew they're huddled around their ward up above Roche. So that was, whoever made that call, that was a really good call. But then also, just even at the end there, Yodomi, like, immediately running and killing that ward and then dying for it was one of those, like, 5 plays that you don't really think about unless you play a whole lot of 5. But it was really good because then it killed their vision off, and even though he died, it gave them that Roche for free because there's no way they can stick around, and Zoomers can really contest a Roche with 0 vision.
Yeah, it's what he's been doing literally off cooldown. Yodomi did that so many times in the No Ping series where they almost were able to beat them. He just suicides for wards because he knows how important that high ground vision is. And as soon as they lose that ward, they are in the Slark's field. It's nighttime versus Slark. You don't have the high ground ward. You're playing versus Monkey too, so both the Monkey and the Slark just have free reign over the map. Even though it was a little bit of a rough ravage from Monster, but it forces everyone to run away. And there's still just no place for this Wisp. Every single time he tries to go for anything, he gets stunned up, he gets hit up by the Boundless Strike and the Earth Spike, and it just feels like this Wisp is not able to do its job in this game. It's a little bit unfortunate.
There's so much AoE damage, right, and the stuns. I mean, the Ravage used for BKB is kind of an undervalued thing sometimes. Like, even though he didn't get the bat, like, forcing him to immediately BKB and then also ravaging someone else is fine, because then you're just like, oh, well, we'll ignore the BKB guy, instantly kill Husky, and now you're just about without a BKB, so you can never actually come back in the fight, because then we'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, BKB'd and then put the lasso onto the gyrocopter, which, I mean, if you kill him quickly, then maybe that play makes a little bit more sense, but as we were sort of pointing out, he lives through it, he took down the ward, and eventually gets taken down, but you have to commit so many resources there just to take the gyro, and you didn't really do much of anything to any of the cores, so feels like we're getting to a point where 4Zoomers, I mean, outside of Envy, where is the other significant damage coming from? Mu really hasn't built in that direction right now unless he gets a crazy multicast.
Yeah, without BKB or like a Hex or anything coming in from Mu either, that's the other problem, is all of the farm that they've been able to get when they break out onto the map has been going towards the Bat or the Weaver. Even though Mu has both of these farming items, it feels like he isn't becoming that third core for them, and he needs to, because you got Bat Rider mid. He's doing as much as he can damage-wise, but you're always going to hit that hard limit where Bat is just not a damage-dealing core.
Oh, they relocated in
yeah.
the wave. This is kind of insanely dangerous, because they could blow this Wisp up, and they know they can blow this Wisp up, so they're hunting him, and if he dies, oh boy.
Finger? Okay. Envy.
Well, Envy is now trapped. He's used the time-lapse. BKB, though, is going to let him try to run.
Dusted.
He's got Abyssal, too.
He's dead.
That's not gonna go
What are they
well.
doing? I was gonna say, guys, look what E has queued up, and then they're just like, you know what? We're going in, and I don't know who made that decision, but that was brave. Especially with little information, they didn't know where they were actually all at, and they happened to be there. That's one of those things that like you're just getting nervous because you're locked in your base. And like, we got to do something, guys. I have an idea, and then they just do it, and you're like, oh god, I guess I'm along for the ride.
Well, and it's such a high-risk play because Gunner is playing bottom, like, entirely. They're either setting up on the bat, they're setting up on you, and it's a lot easier for Gunner to actually make the breakaway, so I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
crap, Monster. All right, he
1-2.
just straight in. There's going to be the
Overpressure.
Ravage, double Ravage out. Gunner still getting healed up, but it's not enough. Gunner's going to die. He does not have buyback, and this may very well just be the end of it. The buybacks that they do have are being expended, but this, they can't fight right now. It's just Envy and the two supports against literally everything on the D2 Hustler side, including that Aegis still in Yuma's hands, so I think they just have to sort of let this go, but this is Megas.
Yeah, they just can't fight anymore. This is kind of what we're talking about with the Monkey and Slark. They're so strong and so tanky. There's not enough damage from Zoomers to even hurt them, especially with 2 of their cores dead. They literally can't fight.
There's the GG.
So that ends it.
Wow. Well, I mean, to be honest, that's a little bit of how we were maybe anticipating this going when we saw those lineups, but it's just a little bit weird to actually see the 4 Zoomers lineup just not really do much to try and correct course there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it was like the Wisp just felt so out of place. Like they didn't have any hero to fight with the Wisp really. The Wisp like wants to relocate people to fights, but who are you relocating? Like a Weaver or an Ogre? I mean, if you're going to the bat, that's why I do think that like the best thing they could have done is just get that bat that's super early BKB Lassa or bots, and then just run around Wisp fighting like nonstop. And you just don't even need to use the the BKB to Lasso. You just make space and push in like pressure on try and pick off 1 or 2 heroes and just play really slippery. But like when your whole lineup is no team fight and just like split push the map, and you can't outpush lanes faster, you don't have a better carry, and like your only win condition is basically to keep fighting, you have to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, they needed, as you said, you've got to find some way, and it just seemed like 4 Zoomers weren't all on board in terms of some of the plans that they would have to go for, some of the changes they would have to make. We did see Envy pull out an idea towards the end there, but not 100% sure if that was a good one, as he did get picked off. That was only his first death of the actual game, but yeah, for stats
what a
nerds,
death to give.
yeah, for stats nerds,
What a
maybe
death to give.
that one death really just completely destroys their chances of then holding their high ground.
Yeah, I think for Zoomers, they love Z-Freak Wisp, and I think it's something they've definitely leveraged very well in the past, but they also get a little bit too in their own heads, I think. I think Wisp Ogre is an interesting direction to go in, but when you actually start analyzing a little bit, what does it do? What do we need our other heroes to do? I think for Zoomers were trying to do a little bit too much with that opener and then didn't really accomplish what they set out for. I think in the past we've seen like the Z-Freak IO paired with the Mood Tusk been the most successful thing, or even pairing it up with a hero like the Undying. I think they need something in that field. I think Ogre was a cool play, but they definitely need something a little bit more standard, I think, because both of them felt really out of place in this game where everyone else was kind of playing what they usually play, except those two really held back the rest of the lineup.
Well, we had something similar from 4 Zoomers earlier on, ET and I, with the IO and I think it was Tusk back then, that we were also sort of wondering what they were doing. And
It's a Wisp Venge. This
Right, the
Venge lane was
Venge.
the...
that's right.
They just love Z-Freak Wisp, but yeah. They got game 2. They've got game 2.
Yeah, game 2 will hopefully see some changes and improvements from 4 Zoomers. Otherwise, this series may end up coming to a pretty swift conclusion. So we'll see what changes 4 Zoomers opt to make and whether D2 Hustlers are going to be able to keep this current momentum going into a 2-0 sweep, or if we're looking at a full best of 3. So we are going to be stepping away for just a moment here, but we've got the game 2 draft coming your way in just a couple of minutes.